Welcome everyone to the ENPA Picker Center Food for Thought speaker series. We're honored to have with us today Fernando Cariello for his presentation on breaking barriers, unlocking success in the US market. As always, if you can keep your questions in the chat or save it in the end when we do Q&A, that would be great. Also keep yourself on mute out of respect for our speaker. The session will be recorded and you will find it on our website, and we'll also include it in our newsletter. So thank you, Fernando, again for joining us, and I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you very much, Zachary. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I've been presenting a little about my story and some stories and do a presentation about something that are very dear is that how to come to the West, how to make a business breakthrough into the West market. Before I start my presentation, I've been doing this for some years now. Just a little background on me. I was born in Brazil, and I was just telling Zachary, I left Brazil to work abroad the early age of 23 years old. I went to live in Ecuador and work for a construction company there. Then I went to Africa, I went to Angola. I lived in there for, I lived in Angola for a total of 5 years, but in the first project, we are mining diamonds in the countryside. So the blood diamonds thing, I witnessed that firsthand. And the guerrilla invaded our camp, and we were rescued by the Brazilian Air Force. Came back to Brazil. From Brazil, came back to Angola for a while. Then went to Colombia. Then came back to Brazil. Then went back to Angola, and I left this company after 5 years to work with Angola's mining diamonds as well. Then when I went to Brazil, I got married in this period of time. My wife went to live with me in Colombia, and when I was back in Brazil, we got pregnant. And when my son was born, I forget Africa, forget everything else. I'm going to raise my son altogether. So with that, I came to Brazil. It was 1997, and I started working a large project with a technology company that works in defense and air traffic control. And we deployed the largest environmental project ever in the whole world, is still today, called the CIVAN project, for the surveillance, the project for the surveillance of Amazon. And in that, there was a branched operation that was in the US. I moved to Boston. It was in 1999. So I came to the United States in 1999 to work in the big project with stakeholders on the defense side. So it was very complicated with the finance for Nexim Bank. So everything that you can think that can go wrong, we were there, right? We are a small group of pioneers trying to see how it goes. In that area, we developed software in Brazil and sold in the US. My first project was with the Brazilian Army in Washington, D.C. So we are doing software. I had the idea, why don't you bring more technology from Brazil? This was year 2002, 2003, and to sell it here. And then I found out that that's not easy to do. In 2003, as a technology person from Brazil, I was transparent. People don't see you. They saw me as a Brazilian, but not someone from technology. So I realized that there was a lot of things to cover that was different in the market and how things work. In 2004, I decided to move to Miami. Boston was too cold. After 5 long winters, that's it. And I moved to Miami, and people thought I was retiring. What are you going to do with technology in Miami? Come on, you're retiring. And my vision at that time that it was a closer trip for Brazil to come to the US through Miami, then to go to Boston or to Silicon Valley, even that's even further away. And everyone thought I was crazy. No one's going to buy it. Even the companies from Brazil, they want to go to Silicon Valley. They don't want to come to Miami. So it was, we created a project with the support of the Brazilian government that still exists today, called Brazil IT. And we use funds from the Brazilian government to help companies to come to the West to do events and to train them and to show them how to sell in the West. Today, this project is managed by the Software Association of Brazil, called Softex. It was created in Washington, D.C., with a group of 4 companies that we got a meeting together, we name it, and we create and submit the project to the Brazilian government. So this is probably the longest living project to export things from Brazil to the US that exists until today. And when I came to Miami, I started working consulting to different companies to develop these markets in the US and even in Latin America. I started the company I developed projects in India, in Venezuela when it was still possible, in Colombia, Peru, in some countries in Africa. And with that, we realized there was a lot of information that people don't have about other countries and other cultures. And we start that what we need to provide them. And one thing that we understood very quickly, that one of the biggest issues that they have to come to the West is that they don't know the culture, they don't know how to behave, they don't know how to hire people, not how to fire people. They don't know not only not how to sell, but they don't know how to file taxes. So we create an operation for technology companies that come to the West to run the back office. Very, say, low. People don't realize that this is probably the hardest thing for one company, for a person to come to other countries, not to meet the high stake peoples, but people don't know how to take a bus. People don't know how to move around. So you go to New York and you're going to go from place to another. If you don't know how to run the subway, you're stuck. Or you're going to have a taxi or Uber and you're going to pay 10 times what someone that lives in New York knows how to do it. So our goal was to be the service, provide the service that help people to behave like you do in the local market. Instead of going to New York and having a taxi, run the subway. That's it, right? Instead of doing something that's very expensive, you can live here, you can work that, you can file your taxes cheaper here if you do like that. You don't need a $5,000 attorney to open your corporation. You can do it by yourself. So we start working with that, and with that we create an call an incubator today. The name is called Kubo Start. We have almost 150 companies that we support on these operations, just on the providing this kind of services. Providing this kind of service, we also created an accelerator to help them to go to market. This accelerator was named based in Miami. We had a partner from Argentina, or Charlie, and we went together and create programs to help them to break the US market, understand now what the buyer behavior, what people value, how to focus on the market, and realize that there's a long way to go. And this my presentation today it has a logo of this new company. Our accelerator was so successful that we accelerated ourselves and we sold the operations to an investor here in Miami. So what was based in Miami is now Manatech. I sold my stake to Marsh Mana to the team there. Charlie became the CEO of this operations Manatech, and I have the perfect title right now. I'm a mentor, zero responsibility, and I with the team. I go there for the events. They bring me to the programs, and I don't need to pay for anything else. That's it. So without further ado, without this brief intro, we prepared this presentation we call the 7 scenes of market entry that just make it easier to understand what you need to do to go to a different market, to break to a different market, and how to position yourselves. Let me share my screen here. Let's see if I can. We tried before and work it, so I think it's going to work again. Right here. I think I'm now going to see the 7 scenes of West market entry. Fantastic, good. So our purpose was that most of the companies that go overseas, and even people when they travel, they want to live in another country, they fail because they don't have money. They don't have sales, so they need to get money in, right? When you come from a country that doesn't have the buying power of the US, so very few countries have today, And you're not to use, or the exchange rate is not equal as the US, everything becomes very expensive. So you need to make money on your target market to pay for yourself, right? So the lack of sales, the number one killer of any initiative of going overseas. So what's a little what I talked about to us is in the beginning is that what I did, um, I put a little more, a lot of more, say, colors on the first narrative. But one thing that it's interesting to know that I'm part of the part of CoboStart, a co-found based by that's now Manatech, and I'm investors in startup companies. Stage Ventures is one that I'm still an advisor to them. Not very active, I can say that, but as an advisor, that happens. But I have a small portfolio of 18 companies that we invested. It was 18. Two companies just ceased operations this month, so now I have 16 only. We are writing off these two companies from our books um, in this year. And but I'm still doing new things, right? I'm working with a healthcare startup company from Brazil to come to the US. We are working something to transform our operation more as a fintech. And we invested in open innovation company down in Brazil, and they're still dabbling the idea of bringing them to the US and how it works. So innovation is something that we are still working on. And I do some kind of called coaching mentorship of companies that work with innovation. Uh, and one thing that's how you create business, and this is a slide that people don't realize, that you need market. And market means that you need buyers and sellers. You need to have an ecosystem for that. We need talent. Talent not only uh, to work for you, but talent that can create things for you, the talent that can recognize things on their side. So people, right? Market have people that makes a great business, and you need money, and that's the key point. And I think that the most failure that you see of companies coming to the West market is a lack of capital. They don't have enough money to invest. I'm gonna drill down a little more in the presentation. I'm going to try to make it a little faster on the slides so we have time for Q&A. In the end, you can talk about more about that. So the seven other things, usually companies come and they say, let's have a run. Right? Let's try the West market. Let's try to 1 year or two, figure out what gonna do. I'm gonna go to New York, gonna talk to people. I'm gonna find a client, and this client is gonna buy me. I'm gonna use this money to fund my stay there. And 99% of the time, this doesn't work. Right? It's very expensive to maintain your life, and it's very expensive to make this contact, and things cost much more money than and then they think it will, and it takes longer because one thing that people don't realize that we don't have a network of people. Your safety net that you have in your home country, the people you know, is not on the target market. So you don't know who to talk to. So it takes longer to get trust on the people that you are contacting for the first time, right? You don't. It's very rare that you go dating someone on the first meet. Sometimes you are lucky on that, but you don't repeat it. So one thing that you need to make your sales repetitive in the same market to become successful. So one thing that we found out that it's very important, that's when you come from a smaller market, you need to hang and you need to do lots of different stuff to survive. I'm a Brazilian, I come from Brazil. Brazil GDP is 10% of the US GDP, roughly 10%, a little 9%. And Brazil is the 10th richest countries in the world. So think about the other ones, right? So when I mention GDP, is that also the GDP per capita is very low in comparison to what you have in the US. So the buying power of the American is much higher than most of the countries in the world, and the market is much bigger than other countries. So I used to say that the US market is like a wall that you come running, you look at, we come from Brazil, look north, oh, United States, $23 trillion, I'm gonna have a market there. So you come running to do this market and you hit your head in the wall and you break your head. The wall stays there. And the only way of you to break into a wall this big is that if you need to get a drill and make a small hole and start digging on it. So start smaller, and this means that you cannot go on a broad focus, but on the single laser point field of focus on your market. So people think, no, I sell to banks in Brazil. Here, you don't sell to banks. You need to understand that you sell to banks that work in a geography with a technology stack, with a this size, with so many customers and so many value. So it's not Bank of America, well, Citibank or Chase, the largest bank in the West today, is completely different their operation from the credit union that has on the corner of my street here. And it's of a bank, but the way that they operate is different. The way that they buy technology is different. The way that they evaluate who works for them is completely different. So you cannot come to the West thinking that you are going to penetrate the market with everything that you have that you do in a home country. You need to select one thing, and this one thing is you need to concentrate. And people ask why in your home country you need to have so many options like banks? Because if I don't sell to every bank that knocks my door, I'm going to bankrupt because there's not enough banks that have a Microsoft stack that have from 100,000 to 500,000 customers. There's not enough. I have three companies like that, three clients like that, and I'm done. In the US, this wall that I drew it's never ending. So the depth of the wall, the depth of the drill can go further away. Think about when you hang a picture on your wall. If it's too heavy, you put two nails, three nails, four nails to hang there because the wall is thin, right? But if you have a thick wall and you put a very long nail, or just a single nail, you're gonna hang your heavy picture. And that's the same thing idea. So if you have a bigger wall, a thicker wall, I have a thicker market, a bigger market. If you just have one single nail that you can go deep in that wall, it's gonna be enough for you to survive and thrive in this new market. So the one thing that the one biggest things that we've seen that is that there is not enough big nails to go to the market. There is not, the people think that if I put small ones, if I diversify from the beginning, people are going to see me, and just opposite, people actually going to see you and think how expensive it is to go to different markets, then the different ecosystems that I have in different markets. My if I sell to banks, there is a bank association. If I sell to hospital, there's a hospital association. A bank association have a lot of events a year, and I have lots of people working on it. And the host association has all the events, so I need to diversify my efforts to conquer the different battles, and it's more expensive. So I start doing one thing to another, and I'm going to just use my money without going deep and the depth that I need to sustain to penetrate the market. Right. So this is one thing that people don't realize. And it's if you've seen that, I think that the best example of that was Facebook. Facebook, when it started, didn't it was started only in Harvard. I was there in Harvard in 2004 when I remember my colleagues used, the Facebook need to have a harvard.edu email to get accepted. Then he expanded to the Ivy Leagues, he expanded to the Boston area, then brought, now Facebook's a global operation. But you started small to conquer. If you imagine if the Facebook was not successful at Harvard, imagine if Facebook was not successful at the Ivies. You've never had a Facebook today. So with what all the experience that I have on conquering the smaller markets is the one that the make it possible to go to the broader market. So that's the first lesson to go when you go to a different markets, field of focus, concentrate your efforts in one single offer. The other thing that people don't realize that they think that the solution that I provide is universal. I remember a company from Costa Rica, they did documents management system, very nice. And on their website in English, it was perfectly done. And it was our document management system complies with law something something slash year something. And I look at it, what is this law? And the guy very proudly said, oh, that's the law of Costa Rica for handling documentation. I say, okay, but why me as an American care about that? The guy looked at me very, very surprised and think for the first time, that's correct. The law of Costa Rica doesn't apply to the US. So this is completely useless. And everything that he made as his selling point was to be in compliance with the law that only exists in Costa Rica, made it completely useless to everywhere else in the world. His software was not exportable at all because it's one software that was focused on solving a problem from Costa Rica, not a problem that you have in different markets. So he started looking on the software, so how do I change to make it more universal? And it was so expensive that he never did. Right. So one thing that to do the research in your market and to adapt your product to the market before coming is paramount. Right. So you need to understand and what's the pain that your client has, how you work with that, and then you have a solution for that. Because not every solution solves the pains that have in different markets. But that's one probably I'm gonna be quicker on this scene, but you need to understand your customer, you need to understand your pain, and you need to make it that your solution is transferable to solve that problem, and you need to solve that beforehand, before you offer it to the market. Because one thing that you have here in the US is that because it's a bigger market and you have so many offerings, most of the solutions are already available in the market. And if I'm unknown to this market, I'm riskier than someone that's already here. Just like you guys, why we buy branded clothing? It's because we believe that that brand is going to have attached quality, a lifestyle that I have. If you come to a brand from another country that has great quality and a lifestyle that's similar to you, but you don't know about it, doesn't translate to you. So why I'm going to buy a brand from Brazil called Reserva that's very similar to Banana Republic here, and for the same price points? I'm going to buy Banana Republic. That's it. Just because I know it, right? So we need to understand that this kind of similarities, you need to do the translation for the problem that you solve and the recognition of the brand that you have. Competition, that's probably the most the most unthought that people don't think about it since the beginning. First of all, I've seen many times. I got clients from mine that say, "Look, my product has no competition. I all I do don't exist anywhere else in the world, only here in Costa Rica." Well, maybe that's because the problem exists there. Maybe because you don't did your market research, right? And sometimes just the opposite. I had a client from Brazil that he got, no, I compete with IBM. Oh, really? You compete? Why? Well, there was a bid in Brazil. The IBM presented. We presented, and we won the bid. So we competed with IBM. And my next question to him was, "Oh, fantastic! So you also have 300,000 employees in the globe, right?" Yeah, no, we are 30 people. So we cannot compete with the IBM. IBM was not interested in the project and allow you to win it, or the price points were too low for them to make some money. So they left for you. But in the US market, if I have a client that I want to compete, I'm gonna win. We're gonna win this client anyhow, even if I got negative margins on the project. So we need to. You need to understand that when you are competing in a larger market, your competitor is also larger than you, are better funded than you, have deep pocket than you, and their presence in the market, their brand recognition, their market understanding, the relationships that they have, and the capacity to invest on getting a client or maintaining a client that they have are almost unlimited. So the competitor analysis and the market research it needs to be done, um, and you need to understand what can you offer that is the same and is different, and don't come with my price is cheaper, because one thing that we learn is that Americans don't buy because it's cheaper. They have the risk analysis is more important. What I mean risk analysis, if I'm selling to you some system, some product, something, I'm selling to you a car, and this car breaks every 10 miles, it's not going to work, right? The car needs to have some, not only quality, but reliability. And the software is same. If I imagine that I'm a purchase agent and I'm buying 10 cars or 50 cars for the Department of Transportation of New York, and all the cars I buy breaks, who is they are going to fire? Me. So, in my job's at risk if I don't bring something that uh, has a fit to the job that's done. So sometimes I need to pay more to get this reliability, to maintain my job as a purchase agency. So that's another thing that people don't realize, that to minimize the risk on the purchasing process also means not only that you have the quality, but also you need to maintain the buyer on the other side their job. And that's very important on the process. How can I convince my buyer that I have a good product and he's not going to be fired if something goes wrong, right? So the competition analysis, it must including what is the risk factor that you bring to the game, because your competitors don't have already there and has a competitive advantage on you. And sales model distribution. That's a fun one, and that's a long story to tell. Let's say I still have time. Sales model means that you need to know how to sell, and most of the people that we understand that come to us, oh, I'm going to hire a sales guy, and the guy's gonna bring in clients, and it's done. That's not how you work. First of all, there is not sales guys available for you to hire for any kind of money. It's like, and I learned this from a consultant from the Silicon Valley, and he asked me, why Fernando, why Brazilians always want me to get a sales guy for them? They don't know what to sell for whom. Hey, do you think that there's a superhero sales guys available in the market? They want to hire the tier one salesperson from the Silicon Valley to sell their uh, copycat systems from Brazil. You know how much money a sales guy from the Silicon Valley makes? A tier one guy, the guys for the Microsoft, SAP, Oracle, these guys make $1 million a year. It's very hard to hire these guys. And these companies are just starting, they don't have the money. So then they try to hire the tier two salesperson. Tier two salesperson work with tier two American companies. Maybe not so well known as Microsoft or Oracle, but they're still there. They still make $500,000 a year. They still have a whole process that they are supported on. They're not going to leave their jobs for a company that has no idea what they're doing. And you have the tier three salesperson. Usually, tier three salesperson is someone that's working with tier one sales a tier one organization from overseas, like someone from Germany, from Japan, from China, they pay top dollars to have this guy. Then you have the tier four salesperson. This guy is you can hire them. They ask for $150 a year. It's not a lot, and they usually come with your resume that you work for 1 year with a Brazilian company, 1 year with a Colombian company, 1 year or something. So those guys, they usually think that they hired the right guy because they have experience in work with foreign corporations of your size. But don't realize that they work just for 1 year. Why they just for 1 year? Because when you hire this guy, the first thing that the guy says, look, your website doesn't work. It's not well translated, it's not bad English, you need to arrange that. The first job that this guy is going to do for you is translate the website and do that. He's not even positioning, but it's just repeating what he did, but in a better English. That's the big thing. They also don't have a PowerPoint to present to the client, so also he's going to work on that and to help you on doing a PowerPoint. And after normally this takes 3 months to arrange, to get all the marketing collaterals, everything works. And then it's okay. Now we have all the tools to sell. So well, we have the tools to sell, but we need to go to events because in your market specific, you say, I came from this company and you work with this kind of business. You are looking for this. I don't have a relationship. Let's get leads. How you get leads? You go to events, you buy leads. So start spending money on travel, on events, and doing that. The events takes some time, 3 or 4 months for things to happen. So after 6, 7, 9 months of the guy in the business, he already been to 2 events. He's been done. So his leads are like 4 people that he knows. Not and there is no sell. You start becoming impatient. So start pushing on some buttons. 3 months later, he said, "Look, I love to work with you, but I got an offer from another company. I'm leaving." So it happens all the time. I've seen it hundreds of times happening. Why this happens? Because you had your sales process, you delivered for someone else to handle it. And that's the job of the company, of the CEO, of the founder, to know how to do, where to do, where to go. And the salesperson is the go to the execution process of selling and not to create the sale model. Right. So that's one thing that it's really hard to translate for foreigners because because he's American, he's gonna I can trust the guy. Not really. You can trust the guy if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, don't trust it because you also don't know what you're doing. So not that the guy is bad, he's a good salesperson of himself, not for your process. So that's another thing that we found out that always happens. The fifth sin ecosystem, as I mentioned before, right? When you are in a home country, you have an ecosystem. You've been to elementary school with this person. You've been to high school with this team. You went to college with this team. Your family have relationships, and you tap like when you are in your home country, you need to a plumber. You call your parent, your uncle, your neighbor, and he's a plumber. The guy works great with me, right? So you have an ecosystem that you can tap that can work with. Right? When you come to the US, you have zero ecosystem. You need to break that. You need to uh, put yourself in their shoes and to go to a system and adapt the ecosystem. And one thing that which ecosystem we don't know. That depends on the market that you're working on. If I just mentioned, I work with banks, large corporations, I need to be part of the American Banking Association. That's one ecosystem. But I can also be part of the American Banking Association, the tech providers of them. And so there are tech bank associations. So I need to be part of that. And also need to be part of my community, right? I'm in New York, they have a New York chapter that I can be part of. But not only that, I need to be part of that, they need to be recognized for it. How I'm recognized for it? I need to present how good I am, what are my thoughts, things that I did. I need to leverage my past for them to understand that I'm not someone that just arrived late to the race and not going to compete. I need to be, let's think in it's like a marathon. If you want to run in the first league, you need to qualify for it. So you need to do the qualification process to be and so that's the adaptation process to want to be part of an ecosystem. So you need to change yourself and to adapt to surroundings. Most of the people think, oh, because I'm really good, what I do in Brazil, what I do in Argentina, what I do in Nigeria, people are going to recognize me immediately. That never happens, right? I don't know the name of the Brazilian banks. I don't know the name of the Nigerian banks. I don't know the name of whatever we're talking about. I don't know the people that vouch for you. I don't know them. I don't understand why you did a good job on something that for me is very easy to do. Why this is so important. So there's a lot of things that I need to leverage and adapt to prove myself that to the ecosystem that I'm part of it. And then I become the recognition that I'm part of that. Then I can tap all these people that I know and all these companies that I know to work about. It happens to me when I moved to the West. I went to a supermarket and I bought so much stuff that I threw away because the taste was not good. I had no idea what to do with that. Like was a foreign supermarket. So I was trying to adapt. Today I go to supermarket, I know everything that's there, understand how to use it, all the ingredients, all the brands, I understand that, right? And when people come from other countries, I usually do a supermarket run with them. Look, this brand does this, don't buy these guys, this is too spicy for you, need to adapt. So this kind of stuff that people don't realize that's very important. And this is also works for business. You need to be a chameleon, adapt your surroundings to survive and thrive. The 16 is about capital, right? People think that with $30,000 you're going to come to the US and you do some business. With $30,000, you cannot even rent an apartment. Right? If you put the down, the security, everything else, your money is gone. Right? So people need to think of $10,000. I'm going to rent an apartment. I'm going to buy a car. Cars are cheap in the US. Cars are cheap, but not $30,000 cheap. If you want a reliable car, and then what you don't have money to expand in your business. So there is a lot of more money that you need to fund the US market entry. Right? And you need to make a calculation. I want to try this market for at least 2 years. How much money do I need? People ask me, and I have some magical numbers, right? To survive in the US market, you need 25, uh, 2000, $250 to $300,000 a year at least to have your market here. And to really penetrate the West market, you need $1.5 million. So where this number coming from, Fernando? You are crazy about it, just an idea. Just come back and see how much money a startup company receives as angel and as seed. The average money that a company receives for seed money is $1.5 million. Because investors know that with less than money, you cannot even prove yourself to the market. So when you do in a startup, you create a startup, you get some angel money. How much money you're gonna get? At least minimum $300,000, sometimes more, right? So that's the money that you have to prove yourself to create your MVP. And with the MVP on the hand, you need $1.5 million to do the market process, to sell it to someone. And that's going to take 1 year, 1.5 years, and you're going to spend $1.5 million to make it to the market. And that's how long an investors wait for you to do the next round. So you need to know that if you are a startup, you need to raise $300,000. After raise $300,000 in 1 year, you need to raise $1.5 million. And after 1 year, something you need to raise $5 million to be in the market. At least that's the minimum capital that you need to raise to create to be a successful startup company. If you see a startup company that doesn't fall to that, I'm sure this company is going to close it and it's not going to do something else after that. So I have an idea. I got the 3,000. If after 1 year I don't have the 1.5 million, it's not going to work. You need to pivot for something, do something else because what you're trying to do is not working. Even the investor don't believe in you. If you got 1.5 million from investors and you are there, and if you're working on raising more money and not getting, it's because your business model has an issue. You need to pivot that and work on that. So that's how important capital is for startups. That's the same thing that you need to work for your when you go to the market for foreign companies that come to the US. And the last scene is about team. It's about people. You need to have a presence here. A founder, someone with power, needs to be here and to understand how the US market works, because this person must have the power to work with the team that was there in their home country, and to change what they're doing. Why I'm saying that? I've seen many times the guy come here. It's just he's not one of the founders, and he work, got a project, and it's a small project. Always first one small project. If you think about it, just got a small project for $10,000 to sell to Columbia University. Just small, $10,000. Took me 6 months of talking to people to get it, and I go to my team down in Argentina. Look, I got $10,000 on a project, so I need a team of 3 people to work on this. And the answer comes, I'm sorry, but we just got a government contract for $1 million, and the 3 people that you are requesting is already working in this project, so we cannot help you with that. So what do you do? What's the caveat on that? That the very important government project that they make $1 million is a project that happens every 10 years in Argentina, because that's the cycle of the project in the countries like that. But the $10,000 in Colombia is the first one. Next year, the next project will be $100,000. The next year is going to be $1 million if you are successful in doing what I do, right? So the growth that I can have on this when I begin on a small project in the US is much bigger than I have in my home country. And that's the issue that people don't realize. I need someone with authority to create the team and to manage the operation that I have also overseas. So the team is very important. The team that's here must have authority, and the team that I have in my home country must be the one that I can coordinate and make it work for the project that I conquer here. These are the 7 things that we working on. And people saying, so what I do? There is a process. The process that works that. The process to a process in 3 states. First of all, you need to hack your value. You need to have your product market fit. That's very important. That goes to the things of the beginning. You need to understand that what's your niche market, how you work, how you produce that, and to create a market fit. Then when you have your sales engine working and you know how to do it, you need to hack sales. And you need to have repeatable sales. To sell one thing to 50 people has less value to sell than to sell 50 selling one thing to 50 people has more value than to sell 50 things to 1 people, because you have just 1 client. So I get 1 client, that's everything to him. Then he's exhausted. He don't want to buy from anymore. But if I sell just 1 thing and I have 50 clients, I can expand on that client for other things, and it can end up I'm going to be recognized in a market that's a provider for this kind of market, right? And then I need to hack scale. Hacking scale is that I need funding and to increase my operation. Now I know what's the pain. I have the solution. I have the sales process. I know who are my clients. I get some money and I got the scale in the same kind of market that I'm working on it. And this is going to repeat. And I'm going to do it again until I have a larger presence in the market. And presence can be I'm going to sell only in Brooklyn. I'm going to sell in Manhattan. I'm going to sell in New York City. I'm going to sell in New York State. So you can grow your circles of influence based on your process and on your solution. You can be very successful selling only in Manhattan, and that's okay. And you can be a $1 billion company selling only in Manhattan, and that's okay. But you need to hack it and understand what's the scale and how you're going to do your sales process on that. So I'm going to, we have now only 9 minutes to go. I want to open for questions. I know that have a small group here. And but there are these presentations available. You can talk to Zachary that, and you can work on that on get this presentation for you guys. So what we, in a way, just I need to put this last slide of show open questions that uh, to make it repeatable, scalable, and profitable, that means grow. So there are 10 steps that we believe that works. You have test a hypothesis, prove the value, prove they can be sold, you find a repeat sales motion, and non-funders that you can sell, you make it scalable. So you need to have this 10 steps and going to repeat and work again. And that's the way that you conquer a new market. That's you make it become recognizable on a sales process for a new market. So I'm going to just finish the presentation here. I'm gonna have my that's my contact on LinkedIn. That's my cell. I have WhatsApp. If you need to contact me, my name, please contact me. I usually answer everyone very quickly. Some people tell me that I have a robot chat answering things, but not really. That's me. So I'm going to try to open for questions. Zachary, Minerva, Hoya,